Hi, thanks for checking out my channel, Jump for Joy with Michael. I am 34 years old, have been working in the business and finance industry for the last 10 years, working with the company leaders on how to increase the company's bottom line. So in today's video, I will talk about how I made six-figure 2020 from having 3 rental properties. There is 3 forms of money made from these rental properties, which I'll go over. And if you stay towards the end, I'll go over 2 bonus forms of income and a strategy I've implemented to be successful. So I do want to start off by saying this is not a get rich quick method. My strategy is meant to set a foundation for a long-term financial future and to make early retirement possible. So these homes that were purchased were actually over an 8-year period. So let's go over the 3 things that I mentioned. Number 1 is the equity gain from the principal paydown. Number 2 is the home appreciation. And number 3 is the rental income cash flow. So I'll go over each of these in more detail with you. But before I do that, I do want to go over the context and lay out the foundation. So the first home I purchased was in 2009 for $196,000. I was lucky at the time because in 2009, during that time, there were 2 tax credits available. The Obama federal offered the $10,000 tax credit for first-time homebuyers, and the state of California also offered a $10,000 tax credit. I think it was led by Arnold Schwarzenegger, our governor at the time. So these 2 federal and state first-time home buyer tax credit were overlapping only within the 30-day period. And I happened to be able to purchase the home within that 30-day period. So I qualified for the $20,000 tax credit, which then was actually helped pay down 50% of my deposit for my first home. The second home I purchased around 5 years later for $426,000. And then the third home was purchased in 2017 for $356,000. Now, if you notice, I actually purchased the third home a lot faster than the first home. And the reason for that is, as you work and you change jobs, you get promoted, your salary increases, right? So in my case, my salary did increase throughout this time. But the biggest difference that helped me save money so much quicker was that my lifestyle remained consistently the same. I mean, I do have to admit, I did have some additional spending in my lifestyle, but it did not increase as much every time my income increased. So because of that, I was actually able to save much faster as the year progressed, as I reached a higher income bracket. So back in 2009, buying the home, I noticed the market has been consistently increased year over year. Now I'm gonna say every market is gonna be different. In 2008, the housing market crashed and I was living in Sacramento at the time. I mean, homes dropped by more than 50%. I mean, in 2009, I knew that the homes were so low that it only makes sense for you to buy a house, because then it's so low that the only way for it to go is up at that point, right? So I started to invest in my first home. Even though I know I didn't have enough money at the time, I was able to borrow money from a relative, from family to help with that. And then relative to the same time frame, the Bay Area housing only dropped by between 10 to 15%. So, you can tell from that, every market is going to be a little bit different, right? So it depends on you. How well do you know your area, your market, and what's in the future for your market? So I'll go over the first line item that I mentioned was the principal pay down. So the first home here, the principal pay down in 2020 is $9,798. Second home principal pay down was $7,402. And the third home was $5,228. Total between the three properties in 2020 is $22,428. So what this means is every month I apply my payment towards a mortgage, and the mortgage is split between interest payment and the equity, which is principal pay down. So the first home, because I've held that home for a longer period of time, and back in 2009, after several years, the interest rate actually dropped further and the housing market has gone up since then. So I was actually able to refinance my house at a lower interest rate and at a 15-year refinance. So I took advantage of the best interest rate possible. So actually that home, my first home there, is gonna be paid off in the next 7 years. So I'm excited for that because that is actually gonna increase my cash flow once the mortgage has been paid off. So jumping down to the second line item, which is the appreciation of the home. So in 2009, end of the year, I did a snapshot of homes similar to in the market of my area being sold of their price. And then at the end of 2020, I did the same thing again to get the snapshot of what that price is. I would look for similar size house, similar 3-bedroom, within the same zip code. So the total home appreciation from the three properties is around $77,000 in just 2020. And the third item on my list is the cash flow. So what cash flow is if you you have a rental income from tenants that pay for the rent, and you use that money to pay off the mortgage, the home insurance, repairs around the house. The leftover money is what I call cash flow for these three properties. So the three properties cash flow around $9,704 in 2020. Now I want you to also bear in mind that your cash flow would typically increase over time, right? As the rental market increases year after year, as the home prices goes up year after year, the cost of living increases. So for me, I would typically increase my rent roughly every other years, and I increase it by $100. So this year, my tenants are due for an increase mid-year, $100 each. So once I increase the rent, I would get an additional $3,600 cash flow per year thereafter. So recapping those three items there, number one, principal pay down, $22,000. Number two, home appreciation, which is $77,000. And number three, which is the cash flow, $9,704. So total for 2020 is, you guys ready for that? Is $109,132. So this is a lot of money, all right? But like I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, this is not a get rich quick. This is more in the long term, right? In the long term, I'm gaining equity in the house, and if I do decide to sell these homes in the future, I can quickly sell them, right? So I'm not worried about that because these are single family homes. All right, guys, so I hope you liked my video so far. And please smash the like button. I mean, that would help me out tremendously. Thank you. So back to the video here. Number one, as I offered, is a bonus that will increase your income, right? Because this is a rental property, it's tax deductible. Number one, home value is depreciated over the course of 30 years. Because this is a rental property, it is considered a business. So because of that, I'm able to depreciate a piece of that cost over the lifespan of 30 years. Number two, I'm able to deduct on the property taxes I paid every year on the home. Number three, I'm able to deduct on the mortgage interest paid on the loan. And if you look at the amortization schedule, at the very beginning, roughly the first 9 years, you're actually paying more in interest than you are in principal. And then after that, you'll start to increase or pay more in principal. So the home gets paid faster, probably towards the last 9 years or so on the 30-year amortization schedule. Number four, repairs and upgrades on the home are also tax deductible. And number five, any travel expenses relating to the business are also tax deductible. And number two bonus item is that if you live in a state such as California, they offer an accessory dwelling unit, or also called ADU. So what that means is on your property, if you have enough land in your backyard, you can actually build a second home in the backyard. And building these homes, I've been looking up on these ADU sites. I mean, you can build a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house for like 200 grand, right? So you can easily rent out these homes more than what you're borrowing from the bank. So these are actually extremely healthy cash flow. You can also build what they call a junior ADU, which is a separate living quarter that's attached to the house. So an example of that would be converting your two-car garage into a separate living space, right? So then you're actually able to do a primary house, a junior ADU, and an ADU in one property, right? So you can tremendously increase your cash flow by having those as well as an open option, So this works because maybe certain area that you're wanting to buy a house, your cash flow is actually going to be negative. So if you're thinking ahead and building these ADU, you can make your cash flow become positive. So, I thought about this seriously, considered it to increase my cash flow. I currently don't have any ADUs at the moment, but something to consider in the future to increase cash flow. So I keep all of my home single family because I know it's just super easy to sell. All my homes has at least 3-bedroom, right? 3-bedroom is the most ideal. That's because a family moving in, they're having children, they're gonna need 1 or 2 bedrooms for them, or they want to have an extra bedroom as an office space. So having a 3-bedroom gives them that flexibility. So, and that's the highest demand in the market. So having these type of homes, I can quickly sell the home as needed if I need that cash, lump sum cash. And my final strategy to be successful, you guys ready for this? So you want to purchase your home in the area that you're familiar with, right? And within a reasonable commute time. So it's way easier to manage a property that's only a 15-minute drive away, right? That will save you money, it will save you time, and to take care of these type of simple repairs around the house. So having these 3 properties, these are actually my passive income. I today currently have a full-time job that I'm working at and I'm happy with, but having this passive income was just an extra icing on the top, right? So, and that gives me the flexibility that if I want to ever quit my job, if I'm not happy, I can do that because I will still have cash flow, I'll still have income at the end of the day. So having these 3 properties is extremely easy to manage if they're set up correctly, right? I mean, at the most, I visit within these 3 properties maybe up to twice a year in total, right? And this is because I have to drive to the property to do some sort of repairs, where I don't want to call a vendor to come take care of the work. So I typically like to do that because it's cheaper for me to do the repair versus hiring someone else to do it. Also, the second reason is I'm actually able to check up on the house, right? I get to walk in the house, do the repair, but then know that the house is being taken care of. So if you check out my video here, I talk about paying off my primary house. And let me tell you why it's important. I paid off my primary house because I'm currently in the 6-figure income bracket, and I don't receive any type of tax advantages for having my primary home, right? And I decided to eliminate my biggest living expense, which is my primary home, right? And how I see it is the place you're currently living is more of a liability than an investment because it's not actually generating you cash flow, it's not generating you money, right? So it's more of a liability. So I decided to pay it off, therefore eliminating that largest expense. I don't recommend, however, that you pay off your rental property. As long as the tenant continues to pay rent and you're making a positive cash flow, I will continue that and use your money to pay off your primary, use your money for other investments, tools of investments, or even buy more rental properties, right? But I don't recommend you paying off your rental property. The biggest reason I say that is because you then lose the mortgage interest tax deductible benefit. So you always want your expenses and tax deductible buckets to be greater than or less or equal to your rental income, right? So the goal here is not needing to pay more taxes than you want. The goal here is not to pay more taxes than you need to. So I hope you like my video, and please subscribe to my channel. I will post weekly content about personal finance. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.